Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Rush Hour podcast, hosted by myself, Ahmed Kamal, and Jay Park. Jay, how you doing, man? How's everything going?
Man, life is great right now, man.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, just from a crazy ass night that happened with the Clippers game and the Heat game. I know we're ready to get into that, and just excited to be back on the pod again. You know, we had our trial run about a month ago, and now we're actually ready to put up our first pod.
Yeah, so essentially with this podcast, we're going to be talking about sports, basketball, soccer, football, tennis, you name it. Hip-hop, rap. You might even hop into the country genre. You never know. You never know what you can get. So whatever entertainment that hopefully is something worth discussing, we'll get into that. But first of all, let's start off with what happened last night. So we're recording this on September the 16th. This was the afternoon right after the Clippers, the Los Angeles Clippers, got dismantled, manhandled by the baby Denver Nuggets. Listen, I don't mean to say baby as in, but, Jamal Murray's 23 years of age, Jokic, the Joker, dismantled, manhandled Montrezl Harrell. He made him look like he was nothing. What's your thoughts on that game?
Man, I'm telling you, that game was
Before we get your thoughts, what was your prediction for that series? How did you, I'm pretty sure you had the Clippers too.
I'll be honest, I wanted the Nuggets to win that series, but I would never made the pick that the Nuggets would actually come out as winners in that series, just being honest.
Yeah.
But last night was just so refreshing to watch as a fan because the way that the game went down and the way that all of the other elimination games went down against the Clippers and the Nuggets with Game 5, Game 6, Game 7, the way that the Nuggets won were all these amazing comeback stories. You look at Game 5, they're down 16 at halftime, come back, win the game. Game 6, you're down 19 at halftime, you come back and win the game. Last night, I think they were down 12 with maybe 4 or 5 minutes to go in the second quarter, and you come back and you outscore the Clippers by 17 in the second half.
That was mind-blowing.
Oh my gosh. And the story of it is I know we're gonna give our takes here, but the story is the top guys from each teams were the story. Kawhi Leonard and Paul George literally played like dirt trash, whereas Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray came out balling, just flat out balling.
You got to come to a conclusion about Paul George in the playoffs. What happened to Playoff P there?
I'm sorry.
Playoff P. I don't see any. He doesn't deserve that nickname as of now.
I don't know if you're saying playoff P or a pandemic P because I think pandemic P is the new nickname that this guy deserves because he's definitely not no playoff P, man.
So Paul George from the field shot at 25%, which is pretty bad, pretty horrible. And Kawhi Leonard didn't have the best shooting night either. He's usually averaging at least 50% from the field, but last night 27%. What's your thoughts on that? Why do you consider that a choking game?
Oh, it's an absolute. it's a flat out, full out choke job.
And not to mention 14 points. That's just.
So you look at it like this. So I'll tell you. So the key numbers here is that Kawhi Leonard, yeah, you're right, 14 points. Paul George, 10 points. And then their third guy, the former 3-time six-man winner of the year, 7 points. You look at those three guys.
Lemon Pepper
Lou.
Just come on, Lemon Pepper Lou. And he just trademarked. He got the trademark too.
See, I heard Kendrick Perkins talking on ESPN about this earlier, and the thing is, you should not be focusing on trademarking a wing flavor rather than the actual game on a Game 7.
Just focused on getting the lemon pepper after getting knocked out in the bubble.
Because here's the thing: Lou Williams, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George combined was outscored by Jamal Murray.
Unbelievable. And Jamal Murray had an amazing game with 40 points. Just building up that momentum that he had with the Utah Jazz series. He was just huge in that series. And not to mention Jokic, triple-double as usual, 22 rebounds, career playoff high, and 13 assists. So he was playing the center and he was distributing the ball. What's your thoughts on Jokic?
For you to dominate a game with just 13 shots, that's unbelievable. The thing is, Jokic was plus 22, Murray was plus 15. Leonard and Paul George, minus 21 and a minus 20.
And I just feel like Jokic, his main mentality going towards this game is not to, let me get points. He just handles the game, literally. Got 22 rebounds, 13 assists. The points are, hey, if they come, they come. That's not his main focus.
I literally feel like he's kind of the white version of Jimmy Butler in a sense where Jimmy Butler, every time that anybody asks him about his game and his performance and his drive and his motive, he always says the same thing, which is
impact winning. Yeah.
he impacts winning. He want to make winning plays, and that's all what Jokic is about. He makes winning plays. He doesn't care about the numbers. The numbers come, great. They're an added bonus. But what he's out there for is to help his teammates out so that they can maximize their performance and their efficiency at a rate that would be not the same without him on the floor.
Exactly, yeah. And so Jamal Murray, at the post-game interview yesterday, he said that this Denver Nuggets team finally needs to get some damn respect within this NBA. Especially based off the fact that they being down 3-1 twice in this
first time that's ever been done in NBA history.
First team in NBA history. That's pretty huge, man. And we got to give it to this Denver Nuggets team. So right now they're going to be facing the Los Angeles Lakers in the next round. This is their first time reaching the conference finals ever since 2009 when Carmelo faced Kobe.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's been a while for them. But what's your thoughts on that and how that series is going to go?
Yeah, with the Nuggets and Lakers, it's going to be kind of tough to pinpoint a clear winner because how can you when the Nuggets came back down 3-1
Exactly. So,
in their last two series? So even if they go down 3-1 again, will we actually count the Nuggets out?
That's what I'm saying. And I'm trying to make a little statement here, but I'm not going to consider it bold. But I do believe that if there's a team in NBA history that could come down from a 3-0, we got to give it to this Denver Nuggets team. Just based off the fact that they came down from a 3-1 twice and the first team in history. So essentially, let's say the Lakers, they're on a momentum, they go up 3-0. I'm not counting the Denver Nuggets out.
I don't think anyone
I got Jokic on the court, and I got Jamal Murray that could go hot and go on a hot streak at any moment. I think they could actually come back from 3-0. But that's going to require a lot of effort.
That is going to require a lot of effort. But I think...
Is there a chance for that to happen?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I would want the Nuggets to win only because that would be the next great chapter to add to their Cinderella story in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But the Lakers, here's the thing. After last night, Clippers were probably the biggest disappointment in the playoffs.
Yeah. By far.
I thought it might have been the Bucks, it might have been the Philadelphia 76ers, but after last night, it's definitely hands down the LA Clippers because, like I said, you're up 3-1. Game 5, elimination game, you're up 16. Game 6, you're up 19 at halftime. How do you blow those two games? To me, that's just... You can't make up an excuse or some sort of reasoning to say that, oh, this is why we lost. No. You're up 3-1. You're clearly the title contender favorites. And you blow out those two games to, what? A Denver Nuggets squad who is less talented than you guys are.
Yeah.
But now, if we switch to the Lakers-Nuggets series, Lakers, if they lose, if LeBron loses to the Nuggets, to these Cinderella Nuggets, oh my gosh, like we're talking about Kawhi Leonard's legacy being...
Kawhi Leonard's legacy already has been affected because of this. So the fact that
but
if LeBron
loses,
guys,
the media is going to have a field day.
The media is going to have a field day. And speaking of media, I'm not considering these guys medias because they're actually NBA players. So Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum had a blast reacting off to that to what happened to the Clippers last night. And they had a little exchange on Twitter where they were celebrating the loss.
What happened? What they say?
So it started off with CJ McCollum kind of talking about, are you guys ready for Cancun and this and that? So yeah, what's your thoughts on that? These guys just joking around and clowning these guys.
Yeah, because you think about it. See, Dame, either you love it or you hate it. He's one of these guys who's not going to forget anything.
Yeah.
He holds grudges. Like he knows who said what, who did what, and whenever he has the chance to say or to do something, he's gonna take full advantage of that. So last night, when he recognized that the Nuggets were gonna win the game, trust me, like Pat Bev, he knows what Pat did at the end of the game there when he missed a free throw and he started pointing at his wrist and this and saying it's Dame time and this and that.
Yeah.
And same thing with Morris and Paul George.
So it looks like Damian Lillard still hasn't booked his Cancun trip, and it looks like he has an open invitation for the Clippers. So that should be interesting.
And the funny thing is, like, look at Pat Bev and Paul George. They're not responding. They're not saying anything.
Yeah,
because
these guys are built different.
Yeah, they know the truth hurts.
Yeah. All right, moving on to the Eastern Conference Final. It kicked off with the Boston Celtics, and they got there by just I hate to say it, but they took care of business against the Toronto Raptors, and they beat them in 7. but we'll get back to that at a later time. So let's focus on yesterday's the day before yesterday's games, the Celtics and Heat. So the Celtics won in overtime by 117 to 114. Jimmy Butler, just impacting winning. It doesn't show up on all the stats, but he had a great game, and not to mention Bam Adebayo's block towards the end there. That was pretty huge. Magic Johnson tweeted that was probably one of the most impressive defensive play in NBA playoff history. That's a pretty huge statement from a pretty big player like Magic Johnson. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, that play to me was probably the single greatest defensive effort in the playoffs. Just because if you look at the replay and the angle behind the rim, his wrist, a man can typically break his wrist making that type of a play. The way that it was going back,
he had some balls to even jump up for a shot like that.
Like the thing is this, like he used his left hand, he made sure that he timed it correctly, and he made sure that there was enough distance between him and Jason Tatum where there was not going to be body contact for a potential foul. So all of that being calculated in Bam's head with less than seconds to play in the court for the game to be either tied and potentially go into overtime, or them to come out with a defensive stop and win the game. In a clutch moment like that, Jimmy Butler put it best. He is the heart and soul of that Miami Heat team. Without Bam, I don't know how far Miami Heat would advance, but Bam, he's a guy who literally affects both ends with effort, with heart, with skill, with talent. And last night, what he did against Jason Tatum, out of all players, I tell you what, Jason Tatum was probably shocked when that happened, because he's like, I'm in the apex. I'm up in the air. I got past Jimmy Butler. I'm about to put it down, tie the game, send it to overtime. And then the way that block went down, I think he's petrified to ever attacking the rim against Bam.
Yeah, that's going to make this the remaining of this series pretty interesting. But I'd like to give a shout-out to Goran Dragic, man. 34 years old, 29 points.
He was huge.
He
was
got
huge.
back into the starting lineup after Kendrick Nunn slipping off of there. And even the rookie, Tyler Hero, 20 years old, 12 points, 11 rebounds, 9 assists. I never knew this guy had all this ball handling and distributing skills in his game. So that was pretty impressive by those guys.
Yeah, the thing is this, like, Tyler Hero almost having a triple-double, just 1 assist shy.
A rookie.
The thing is this, like, there's always that saying, another man's trash is another man's treasure. And the way that this went down is because Duncan Robinson collected 3 fouls. He was already in foul trouble from the start of the game, collecting 2 early fouls in the first quarter, 3rd foul early in the second quarter. And obviously, if one of your key role players is getting into foul trouble, Eric Spoelstra, the coach, had to make the call. And he said, you know what, I'm going to put Tyler Hero in the ball game and see what this guy's going to do. This guy, like you said, 12 points, 11 rebounds, 9 assists, just pure effort and just pure smart basketball plays that this guy was making.
And it goes to show you that so he got drafted in the previous draft, 13th pick, and out of
Kentucky.
Wildcats. They just keep on dishing out superstars and upcoming future players in this league, which is pretty amazing. So what's your thoughts on how this series is going to end? I personally believe that the Miami Heat could win, but I don't think it's going to be easy. It's going to go to 7. And just if you were to ask me why, I'd give you a simple answer. Jimmy Butler, he's just built different, man. He doesn't show on the stat sheet at all, but I highly trust that he's going to drag this team to the finals.
I also think that Miami Heat is going to win the series. I remember sending a message to one of my friends, Jacob, saying to him that, you know what, I believe that the Heat are going to beat the Celtics. This guy was asking me, like, are you sure? Like, Celtics are talented, man. They got Tatum and they got Brown and all this. And, but I was like, look, Jimmy Butler, he's just built differently. He's just a different animal. Like, when you have a team full of goons who's just, ready to grind it out, ready to go to war, every possession, every game, you can't put a price on that, but it's just, there's something that needs to be said about that, because for Jimmy Butler to be the 3rd leading scorer last night, to only have 22 points, to be outscored by, out of anyone else, Jay Crowder scored more points, and Goran the Dragic scored 29 points. But here's the thing, when it mattered, when they needed a bucket, when it was clutch, who did they go to? They went to Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler made that 3 in the closing moments of the 4th quarter to give them a 1-point lead. And then Jimmy Butler, what happened? overtime, and one game winner. That's all he does. He impacts
just
winning.
Building off of that, I feel like his concentration towards this playoff series is just different. So when most NBA players started inviting their families to the bubble, he just straight up said, "Listen, man, with all due respect to these guys, I'm not bringing no family members here. I'm here for one reason. I'm here. I'm fully focused. I don't want no distractions." I feel like just the fact that he even said that, and just said proving to you that his focus is just getting it done, getting the task done.
Yeah, I think like with him, when he's not on the court, he's trying to sell a cup of coffee for $20. But that's a side hustle that he's doing on the side there. Just I don't know what he's doing, charging. $20 for a cup of coffee is something else. But on the court though, he's a different animal. Honestly, and I remember Scottie Pippen on an interview was saying that Minnesota and Philadelphia didn't work out for those players and his teammates because why? Because those guys did not want to win. Jimmy Butler wants to win, and he wants to win at all costs. And thank goodness that he found the perfect match and the perfect system and the perfect coach and the perfect teammates in Miami that will ride with him until the bitter end.
So what's your thoughts on Andre Iguodala there? So he got traded, he got moved to the Grizzlies.
Yeah, with Jay Crowder in that trade, yeah.
Yeah, so the Grizzlies idea didn't work out with him, and now he's with the Miami Heat. But I haven't seen any direct impact towards that. I feel like him and, with all due respect to OG Udonis Haslem, these guys are, one's chilling on the bench and one's stepping on the court and off the court. Yesterday he had 3 points, but I still don't see that overall.
Yeah, so I think
feel like they could go through the Celtics, but Iguodala has to step up for them to actually get the task done in the finals.
I think Iguodala, he definitely didn't have his moment or his, he didn't have his shine yet as a Miami Heat. But I think more than his play on the court, I think it's his presence off the court that is, extremely valuable to the Miami Heat. Being a veteran, being a championship caliber player, finals MVP, just having that credibility to his name, I think is what gives a lot of those young guys in the Miami Heat organization a lot of confidence. I look at Andre Iguodala now, not in the level of talent or skill or caliber of play, but just an impact on the team. If you look at a guy like Jared Dudley on the Lakers, just a veteran that organizations want to bring him in just for the fact that he can kind of impact the locker room, impact the confidence of the younger guys, making sure that they are developing and maintaining the right habits on and off the court. I think that's what Iguodala's role is now. He's no longer that finals MVP that he was for the Warriors, but he's still valuable to a team, especially to a contender.
So you're sticking with Miami in 7 as well, or 6?
I'm taking Miami in 6.
Perfect. At least we're on the same page, but I think it'll go to 7. So the NBA announced the All-NBA first team, second team, and third team just about half an hour ago. But I'd like to start off with the All-Rookie team that got announced yesterday. So
okay.
Let's talk about that for a bit, and then we'll go more in depth with the All-NBA teams. So for the first All-Rookie team, I don't see any surprises on here. So we got John Morant, Kendrick Nunn, Brandon Clark, Zion Williamson, and Eric Pascal of your Golden State Warriors. What's your thoughts on that first team? Do you think that these guys are going to make an impact in the league within the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, I think all of them have a bright future. I mean, John Morant, there's no doubt in my mind that he has superstar writing on the wall with his capability, his potential, his passion for the game, and the fact that he has such a great work ethic at such a young age, because he's coming into the league with a chip on his shoulder, and the fact that he's an undersized point guard, I think he's out there to prove that he belongs in the league and that he's going to be one of the greatest.
Eric Pascal, so he had a huge starting role with the Golden State Warriors. Do you think that he'll make an impact with the next year's Golden State Warriors team when Curry and Klay come back? In addition to their second round, their second pick.
I think Eric Pascal has the potential to be a great rotational player, a role player that will supplement the talent that is on the Warriors with Curry, Klay, Dre, as well as Wiggins, and potentially the first round pick unless they trade that for someone else. Eric Pascal, I believe he's a starter for most teams, and he's a good complementary player to have around a talented cast.
And Zion Williamson, we have nothing to say about him.
No,
That
he's
was
a
lock. I feel like
he's
even though he played 21 games, if he even played 2 games, he still would have made it to that first team.
yeah.
And, shout out to Brandon Clark, Canadian on there.
Yeah, no. All these guys, Nunn, Clark, Williamson, Pascal, Moran, all these guys have bright futures ahead of them.
So for the second all-rookie team, we got Tyler Hero, Terrence Davis of the Toronto Raptors,
Ooh.
Kobe White, PJ Washington, and Rui Hachimura. So the big shock over here is no RJ Barrett. The New York Knicks fans are punching the air right now. We got that kid that cried when they when they drafted Porzingis. He's probably crying that RJ Barrett didn't make it on here. So, shout out to Terrence Davis though. This is huge. But do you think this is gonna fuel and motivate RJ Barrett to step it up next year?
I will certainly hope so.
Especially
because
that he has his godfather in town, Steve Nash.
Oh yeah. I think it's this RJ Barrett. Like there was an argument that some people were telling me leading up to last year's draft that RJ Barrett could actually be the first overall pick over Zion because they're both teammates at Duke and they both played really well. But we just showed you, Zion just showed you last year with the limited amount of games that he actually played, with the limited amount of minutes that he actually was on the court, why he went number 1 and why RJ went number 3.
Clearly shows, yeah.
Because I believe RJ, he's just really inconsistent. He's just really inconsistent. I remember I participated in a fantasy league earlier, and one of the guys drafted RJ Barrett. And I remember foolishly offering him Kemba Walker and a bunch of other these guys on a fantasy trade. But thank goodness I pulled out. But RJ Barrett, because at the start of the year, he was great, and then he fell off. And as the saying goes, it's not about how you start, it's about how you finish.
It's about how you finish.
And with RJ Barrett, I'm sorry, he was a complete flop.
Very disappointing. So let's go on towards the All-NBA first team. So the first team, I feel like this entire team was a unanimous decision. So we got Giannis Antetokounmpo, Luka Doncic, LeBron James, Anthony Davis. What's your thoughts on this team, and is there any surprises, or do you think that they should switch this around?
No, I think an argument can be made that all those 5 guys deserve to be on the first team. I'm sure that even right now, these are probably the top 5 players in the NBA as we speak. AD, LeBron, Giannis, Harden, Luka. They showed the reasons why in the regular season why they belonged in.
How impressive is Luka Doncic in his sophomore season being on that first team? That's pretty huge, man. I honestly can't remember the last time a player in his second year being on the first team.
If you just look at the stats,
if I'm not mistaken, this could be the first.
If you just look at the numbers alone, he's had the better second season compared to LeBron. And
it's actually scary how he could even grow from that.
And the thing is that when you're entrusted to be the go-to option basically from when you were drafted as like a 19-year-old kid, yeah, I understand that he had previous ball experience in Europe playing against grown men. I understand that.
Madrid, yeah.
But the NBA is a different organization. Right? It's a different stratosphere.
Yeah.
You come in and you nearly average a triple-double in your rookie season, and then you only elevate that to a higher degree, to a higher level, and take your team to the playoffs.
Yeah, that's
without your second best player.
That's impressive, and the fact that
missing a lot of the games.
The fact that he even got 2 wins against the Clippers in that playoff series is impressive.
I think that game-winning shot, just cemented this man's legacy and his future. I think you do that against.
That's a clip that they're going to be playing in documentaries 4 years from now.
Yeah, he might if he keeps up this trajectory, he might have his own last dance.
Yeah. So let me just go on with the second team and third team together so that we could kind of see who got snubbed from the second team and who got snubbed from the third team. So for the All-NBA second team, we got Chris Paul, Damian Lillard, Kawhi Leonard, Pascal Siakam, and Nikola Jokic. For the third team, we got Ben Simmons, Russell Westbrook, Jimmy Butler, Jason Tatum, and Rudy Gobert. So for the second team, I honestly feel that Pascal Siakam. I hate to put the playoff performance with this, but if we were to consider playoffs, Pascal Siakam shouldn't even be on any of these teams.
Yeah.
Any of these teams. Like, you got to get the hell out of here, man. To be honest, Chris Paul, I feel like he deserves to be on that second team. Dame Lillard, there's an argument for him to be on that first team, but just looking at how the NBA just continuously doesn't want to make this positionless, they want to insist on it being with the positions. This kind of resulted in Damian Lillard being on the second team. If not, he should have been on the first. We got Kawhi Leonard. I feel like Kawhi had a decent year. I wouldn't say a great year. He deserves to be on the second team. And Nikola Jokic, there's an argument that he should have been on the first team as a center. So, why do you think that he's on the second team and not the first team?
I believe because Anthony Davis, he is a higher level candidate when it comes to the MVP voting as well as on the Defensive Player of the Year voting. So because of that, I think Jokic is a little step down from Anthony Davis. And we'll see how it works out in the matchups now in that upcoming playoff series. But
I think this might even have a lot of people change their minds, like if you were to consider playoffs. So we'll see how this matchup goes.
Yes, because AD can really impact both ends of the court, whereas Jokic is more so on the offensive end, right? He's just a wizard on the offensive end, but on the defense, we've seen plays where, like a Harden, he doesn't really play all that well, or he lacks focus, or he lacks effort, whereas with AD, that's never questioned. I think between the second and third team, I really feel strongly that Butler and Tatum should be higher on one of those, either the second, somewhere on the second team, I feel, because Butler and Tatum, these are the two reasons why their teams are in the conference finals right now. Without those two players, I guarantee you Miami Heat would not be the same team, and the Celtics would definitely not be the same team. Without the rise of these two superstar-type players, I don't know where those two teams would be right now.
So just looking at this All-NBA third team, you got Russell Westbrook on there and Ben Simmons. And I personally believe that Russell Westbrook fell off. He doesn't deserve to be on this All-NBA team at all. And just looking at the list of all the players that got potentially snubbed from this list, if you look, let's just stick to the backcourt. You got Donovan Mitchell, right? You got Jaylen Brown, and I'm gonna go gradually, and the names just get better. Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal. So Bradley Beal got snubbed from the All-Star, and the fact that he got snubbed from the All-NBA, that's just horrendous.
I would have taken Bradley Beal over Ben Simmons for sure. There's no question about that. Ben Simmons, I believe he's overrated. I strongly feel that Ben Simmons he's like a DeRozan, where he's reached a level of stardom and he's plateaued.
Yeah.
He's not getting better. He's not willing to get better, because we see that in his willingness to not even make, but just take threes. Yeah. That's all that he needs to unlock for that next chapter of his game, so that it will work better with a guy like Embiid, who's a dominant big man.
Yeah, and Westbrook is like the only player on the Rockets that doesn't want to shoot threes, pretty much.
Even if he does, he's not gonna make them anyways.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to how the Milwaukee Bucks just disappeared from the bubble. They just packed their bags and they left. They almost got swept by the Miami Heat. They lost in 5 games. Giannis couldn't live up to the hype. This is his second year for him not failing to reach the finals. They lost in 5 games. Giannis had an injury, and there's a lot of skeptics about how his future is going to turn out with the Milwaukee Bucks. He has 1 year left on his deal. People are saying, there's reports saying that either he's going to resign with this and get the Supermax deal, or potentially explore and get potentially being traded out of that team. So he had a meeting with the Milwaukee Bucks owner. So the Milwaukee Bucks has 3 owners, and they rotate annually who gets the controlling owner. So he met with their owner Mark, and so they're calling this a meeting and not the meeting. So by a meeting, I believe that they just probably talked about how they're going to bounce back from this season, but we all know what the meeting is going to be. It's going to be about that 250 max deal, and that's definitely the meeting. So what do you think Giannis is going to do, either this summer or in the upcoming summer when it comes to free agency in 2021?
I think Giannis's decision will weigh heavily based on what the Milwaukee Bucks do in this shortened off season. If they're able to get somebody to really help him, Now, there is a certain player in the Oklahoma City Thunder uniform right now, and a guy named Chris Paul that they could potentially get after, because I believe that although he's carrying a $40 million plus salary tag next to his name, it might be worth it, considering that Giannis, a franchise player, a once-in-a-generation type player, can potentially leave your organization. And if a player like that leaves your organization, you're going to be in the lottery for the next few years. Yeah. Giannis, he really wants to contend, and he really wants to win. So it's up to the organization to deliver the best possible team and assemble the best coaching staff possible to get him there. I think Coach Bud needs to go, because I believe Coach Bud, like what he's done with the Atlanta Hawks.
Agree that he's just a regular season coach.
He's an awesome regular season coach. Awesome.
I feel like teams should, rent him. They should make him be a regular season coach.
and then get somebody else for the playoffs.
And then get somebody else for the playoffs. I honestly, because he'll get you the best record. He'll get you, a good team chemistry and all that. There's never players complaining.
Let me tell you this. When he was with Atlanta, he had the best record in the NBA.
That's what I'm saying.
And he had 4 All-Stars. It was the one year that Kyle Korver was an All-Star.
Was his only,
and then the thing is what? You get bounced out of the playoffs and you don't even make it to conference finals.
So I say, man, listen, whatever team wants to sign Bud, just let him coach up until 82 games.
Yeah, I think they got to get rid of coach. You got
to let it go.
I think they got to bring in someone new. I think Giannis needs somebody that he can really put some confidence in and say that this guy's going to make the right calls, make the right plays for us to get to the next level. And
you're saying Giannis should stay, but the coach should go.
Coach should go for this year. I believe Coach Bud needs to get relieved of his duties this off season and bring in someone new. And then I think that they need to bring in another talent.
And just to mention, as a result of the meeting with the owner that he had, the owners are willing to get into the luxury tax.
Bring in Chris Paul. Bring in Chris Paul.
They learned from the mistakes of getting rid of Malcolm
Brogdon.
Malcolm Brogdon, yeah. And so they're just going to build off that. They're not going to repeat that.
I think that was one of the stupidest mistakes that organization has made, because Malcolm Brogdon, now he's like an all-star caliber player. A guy who's able to shoot 50, 40, 90, 50 from the field, 40% from 3, 90% from free throw. Those types of players are so rare.
Those are Curry numbers.
There's not that many players in the history of the NBA who would be able to shoot those type of numbers. And you let a guy like that go, not because you traded him, you just didn't want to pay him.
So do you think if they paid him, the Bucks could have jumped over the hump, made it to the final? I'm not going to say they win it, but
I think they for sure would have been able to beat the Miami Heat, because you have another guy.
That's tough, man.
No, you have another guy who's able to put the ball in the hole.
So you're saying all the stuff that Jimmy Butler did, all that.
Because you got to think about this. Giannis was the only guy who would be able to get you a bucket. You take Giannis out the equation because they put up the wall at the free throw line and they have defensive schemes to specifically target Giannis. Yeah. Now, with Giannis basically being voided, who do you have that you can account for even 15 to 20 points a game? Middleton's inconsistent. So if you had a guy like Malcolm Brogdon who could give you another additional 15 to 20 points a game, that potentially might have been the difference maker. But the fact that you don't have perimeter players who are able to get you a bucket at will, which I think is the missing ingredient for a lot of these teams, you're not going to go anywhere far. That's why with the Raptors, they didn't go anywhere, because they don't have a perimeter player like a Jason Tatum or a Kawhi Leonard. I mean, although Kawhi Leonard, he didn't perform very well in this Nuggets series, but they don't have perimeter players who are able to make mid-range or three-point shots to open up the court for everyone else. Yeah. That's why I think they need somebody like a Chris Paul who can do that and open up the floor for Giannis.
So is Chris Paul the only option that they could make it and make it to the finals next season, or are there other options?
There may be other options, but I think Chris Paul would be the best option, only because he would mesh very well.
35, 36 years old, that's not going to guarantee anything.
It's not, but neither is Giannis staying, right? There's a risk on both ends.
We focused on the scenario of him staying. What about the scenario of him demanding a trade or even leaving in free agency in 2021? But let's start off with the Toronto Raptors. The Toronto Raptors are the main team rumored to get Giannis. You got that Masai Ujiri Nigerian connection. I don't know what they got going on behind the scenes. They've been meeting at Giants for Africa events, this and that. They were staying at the same hotel in Orlando. That's why these kind of all just built up that Giannis could be coming to Toronto.
He can, and I think the Raptors roster would look very different from what it is this year to if and when Giannis joins the Raptors. But I think Raptors, headed by Masai Ujiri, have the right build as an organization to make those calls, to make those plays off the court, to bring in the type of coaches and the players that are needed to win the chip, as we saw what they did with DeMar and Kawhi. So I believe that Giannis would place his faith easily with somebody like Masai than anybody else in the league to make those calls.
There's a huge Greek fan base over here, and I think it'll be a great fit. Hopefully, Giannis to Toronto. We'll see. We'll see how that.
We'll see where he goes, because I tell you, there's he's with Milwaukee right now, but that's just one of 30 teams. I tell you, 29 other teams would love to have Giannis on their roster.
29 other teams would love to have him, but the other team rumored to make they've been actually talking about, or I'll just say rumors for now, is the Golden State Warriors. I've seen a lot of pictures, a lot of posters on Twitter. Do you think that Giannis going to Golden State Warriors is anywhere near compared to when KD joined them?
I think this is a little bit of a step down from KD, because KD was just a better overall all-around player than Giannis. I mean, we just look at the fact that KD can shoot, right? We just look at the fact that KD can shoot, pull up from anywhere, shoots 40, 50, 90. Giannis will never do that in his lifetime. He'll never shoot 40, 50, 90. But KD is a 7-foot monster who could pull up from like 4 feet, 5 feet, 6 feet beyond the 3-point line.
That's how in terms of fit, and we gotta.
But I think if Giannis were to join,
that Curry is getting into his mid-30s as well. So,
I think if Giannis were to join the Warriors, that would give the Warriors one last run at a title. Either that be for 1 year or 2 years, but there will be that window. Without him, I don't think that the Warriors will ever win a title.
Do you think that Giannis will get the same treatment that KD got in terms of how the fans reacted? Or this is a different situation because he didn't join a team that he got knocked out by the year before?
I believe this is different situation. Yeah,
right?
Different situation.
Especially the fact that it's a different conference. Yeah. And it would appear that he's joining a losing team because, the record that the Golden State Warriors has right now is horrendous. So that's pretty much it. So let's move on to how the Toronto Raptors season came to an end. The defending champs came down to the wire against the Boston Celtics to a Game 7. And now we're in a situation where the Toronto Raptors has to make some serious decisions. We got Marc Gasol, Serge Ibaka, and Fred VanVleet at expiring contracts right now. So the Raptors are in a situation where they could either re-sign Fred VanVleet. He's an unrestricted free agent. But Fred VanVleet is going to be demanding the max. And at this current situation, we don't know what the cap is looking like. So the Raptors are in no position to take a decision like that. But the one decision that they did do is they gave Nick Nurse a multi-season contract extension, and that's great news for the Toronto Raptors. I believe that Bobby Webster and Masai Ujiri are next in line for that extension. But in the meantime, there won't be any player action for how these until the cap comes to an extension. So what do you think the Raptors should do with these players, and how they should deal with the Lowry situation as well?
I think the only player you re-sign is that should be a lock would be Ibaka. I think everybody else who doesn't carry the same last name as Serge, we don't need them back. That even goes for Fred VanVleet, especially if Fred VanVleet wants that hefty price tag next to his name.
We both agree Fred VanVleet. Because I think not no damn max player. Right?
He's, regardless of what the cap is going to look like, Fred is not going to be worth anything north of $20 million a year, because we see that he's not that guy. For you to be that guy,
especially how he performed against the Celtics, and getting blocked in that.
Fred VanVleet had the single worst play in the playoffs. This year with that last possession.
Like, I was just hoping for him to pop a baby so he could come back to his work.
You think about it, like the man literally just, as Charles Barkley was saying, you literally just dribble. You dribble.
At least get a baby on the way so he can play better.
Like with Fred VanVleet, I'm asking myself, I'm like, you dribble. Everybody in the world knows that you're going to clearly take the shot. There's no way you're going to do anything else with the ball, other than to take the shot. Boston Celtics knows that. The Raptors know that. Everybody knows that this is what's going to happen. And then you flopped. That was just a disastrous play.
Yeah.
So for me, when it matters, Can you deliver? Can you be that guy? I understand that Fred VanVleet has showed us glimpses and moments and segments of great play that showed us maybe, you know what, he could be a great player, like an all-star caliber player, but will he be consistent enough to make a real difference on the team? And I don't think he is that type of player. So for us, if he wants that type of money, we'll say what we said to Bismack Biyombo. You know what, you can leave. Go to a different team. Because you know what? Sure, let the Knicks...
The New York Knicks...
Yeah, go to the Knicks. Go to the Charlotte Hornets.
Dwayne Casey in Detroit, just across the border.
Yeah, go to one of these, like...
and just have a miserable career in those cities.
Yeah. I'm sorry, like, those teams are just even fighting for the 8th seed.
Or you could take a little bit under the max and hopefully just wait until... See what Masai Ujiri pulls off. And a Fred VanVleet and Giannis scene would be lovely for the only Canadian team.
Yeah, but yeah, you know that I think the Raptors, their team's going to look a lot different. So it's interesting to see who is going to be on the roster even just 2 years from now. But I do have faith in Masai, and I believe that he will make the right calls, make the right draft picks, develop the young players, and potentially via trade land a big name so that we'll be right back to where we were last year as contending favorites.
Let me just drop in one more name here. So DeMar DeRozan is I hate to say it, but a free agent. Do you think that the Raptors
no way
bring that old thing back?
No way.
Is there a slight chance that Masai Ujiri would be like, okay, man, I feel a little bit bad.
Way.
Let me get DeRozan on a little $50 million.
No way. Even if DeMar DeRozan said to Masai, yo, sign me up for $1 million a year and I'll be back. There's no way I do that.
You would, but we got to think about Masai here.
No, that was one of the worst breakups of all time, regardless if it's a sport or in real life or dating. Like, that's the way that all went down, and the way that DeMar DeRozan was sour. He was sour for months after that went down. For months. The sheer amount of hatred, of disgust, of just pure negative emotions.
Well, we got to agree that he got a little bit done. You know, he got traded off guard. Masai told him he was going to stay. A week later.
I'm telling you, that was one of the worst breakups ever. There's no way that DeMar... I understand that, you know, Canadians have a huge heart for DeRozan, for what he was about and what he did with us, but there's no way that Masai will be able to bring him back. Even if DeMar demands just $1 million a year, there's no way that's going to happen. Like, I believe that bridge was burned to the fullest.
Yeah. With that being said, this is a wrap to the first episode of the Rush Hour podcast. Jay, it's been a great show, man. Thanks everybody for listening. Looking forward to next week.